Predatory women, a comprehensive exploration. The term predatory women refers to women who engage in exploitative, manipulative, or harmful behaviors, often in the context of relationships or social interactions. These behaviors may include emotional manipulation, financial exploitation, or sexual predation, with the intent to gain power, control, or personal benefit at the expense of others. While predatory behavior is more commonly associated with men, particularly in discussions of sexual assault or abuse, women can also exhibit such behaviors, though they are often under-recognized due to societal biases and gender stereotypes. This video explores the definition, characteristics, psychological and sociological factors, prevalence, and cultural perceptions of predatory women, aiming to provide a balanced and empathetic understanding of this complex topic. Stay with us. Perhaps the facts in this video may change your life forever. Definition and characteristics. Predatory behavior involves exploiting or harming others for personal gain, often disregarding the victim's well-being. In the context of women, predatory behavior can manifest in various forms, including manipulation and deception, using charm, flattery, or false promises to gain trust and control. For example, a predatory woman might present herself as supportive to build a bond, only to exploit it later. Boundary violations, testing and crossing personal boundaries, starting with minor infractions, example, uninvited visits, and escalating to serious violations like unwanted physical contact. Isolation, separating victims from their support networks to increase dependency and reduce the likelihood of seeking help. Control and domination, monitoring and dictating a victim's actions, such as their communications, appearance, or social interactions. Exploitation, taking advantage of a victim's resources like money, status, or emotional support. Lack of empathy, showing indifference to the harm caused, often a hallmark of personality disorders like narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, or antisocial personality disorder, ASPD. Impulsivity and risk-taking, engaging in risky or criminal behaviors without consequences. Superficial charm, using charisma to disarm and attract victims, making it harder for them to recognize the danger. These characteristics align with findings notes that predatory behavior in relationships often involves manipulation and control regardless of gender. Table 1. Common characteristics of predatory behavior. Characteristic. Description: manipulation, using charm or deceit to gain trust and control. Boundary violations, testing and crossing personal boundaries, escalating over time. Isolation, separating victims from support networks to increase dependency. Control, dictating actions, monitoring communications, and restricting freedom. Exploitation, taking advantage of resources like money, status, or emotional support. Lack of empathy, indifference to the harm caused to victims. Impulsivity, engaging in risky behaviors without considering consequences. Superficial charm, using charisma to attract and disarm victims. These characteristics align with findings notes that predatory behavior in relationships often involves manipulation and control regardless of gender. Table 1. Common characteristics of predatory behavior. Characteristic. Description: manipulation, using charm or deceit to gain trust and control. Boundary violations, testing and crossing personal boundaries, escalating over time. Isolation, separating victims from support networks to increase dependency. Control, dictating actions, monitoring communications, and restricting freedom. Exploitation, taking advantage of resources like money, status, or emotional support. Lack of empathy, indifference to the harm caused to victims. Impulsivity, engaging in risky behaviors without considering consequences. Superficial charm, using charisma to attract and disarm victims. These characteristics align with findings notes that predatory behavior in relationships often involves manipulation and control regardless of gender. Psychological perspective. From a psychological perspective, predatory behavior in women is often linked to personality disorders, particularly psychopathy, NPD, or ASPD. Research suggests that female psychopaths exhibit traits such as deception, manipulation, impulsivity, lack of behavioral controls, sexual promiscuity, criminal diversity, and a lack of realistic goals. These traits can enhance their ability to act predatorily in relationships. A study of 199 female prisoners found that 6% scored between 30 and 40 on the Psychopathy Checklist Revised, PCLR, a standard tool for assessing psychopathy. When the threshold was lowered to 25, about 1 in 5 were identified as psychopathic, indicating that female predators may be more prevalent than previously thought. The study also suggests that women may be better at avoiding detection, possibly due to societal perceptions that view them as less threatening. In relationships, predatory women may employ tactics such as love bombing, overwhelming victims with affection to create a bond, gaslighting, manipulating victims into doubting their perceptions, triangulation, using third parties to create jealousy or competition, emotional blackmail, using threats or guilt to control behavior, financial exploitation, taking advantage of a victim's finances. These behaviors are designed to maintain control and keep victims dependent, often leaving them emotionally or financially drained. Sociological and cultural factors. Sociologically, the concept of predatory women challenges traditional gender roles, which often portray women as nurturing and empathetic. This stereotype can make it difficult for society to acknowledge female predatory behavior, leading to underreporting and minimization. For example, a woman who exploits a man sexually or financially may be seen as less culpable than a man in a similar situation due to ingrained gender biases. Culturally, media representations predominantly depict predators as male, reinforcing the notion that women are unlikely to engage in such behavior. When female predators are portrayed, they are often romanticized, example as cougars pursuing younger men, or depicted as victims driven by trauma, which can trivialize the harm they cause. This lack of accurate representation can make it harder for victims to recognize and report abuse. Male victims of female predators face additional stigma, as societal norms often dismiss or ridicule their experiences. Male victims frequently encounter disbelief from authorities, exacerbating their trauma and discouraging reporting. Prevalence and recognition. While male predatory behavior is more commonly discussed, federal data indicate a surprising prevalence of sexual victimization perpetrated by women. For instance, in cases of child sexual abuse, female perpetrators account for a notable percentage, though exact figures vary. Victims of female abusers, particularly children, are often reluctant to disclose due to shame or fear of disbelief, sometimes even misidentifying the abuser's gender. In adult relationships, predatory women may target vulnerable individuals, such as those who are younger, less experienced, or financially dependent. Power imbalances, such as age differences or workplace authority, can facilitate this exploitation. The under-recognition of female predators is a significant barrier to addressing the issue, as it leaves victims with adequate support and perpetrators without accountability. Table 2. Prevalence of female predatory behavior. Context. Findings. Sexual victimization. Federal data show a surprising prevalence of sexual victimization by women. Child sexual abuse. Female perpetrators account for a notable percentage, though underreported. Adult relationships. Predatory women may exploit power imbalances, targeting vulnerable individuals. Impact on victims. The impact of predatory behavior by women can be profound, leading to psychological trauma. Victims may experience anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and trust issues. Emotional distress. Feelings of betrayal, shame, and self-blame are common. Physical harm. In cases involving sexual or physical abuse. Social isolation. Difficulty forming healthy relationships due to trust issues. Financial loss. Exploitation of financial resources can lead to significant economic hardship.
Male victims, in particular, may face societal disbelief, which can worsen their trauma. Female victims of female predators are often overlooked by professionals in mental health and law enforcement due to stereotypes about women being sexually harmless. Case studies. To illustrate the dynamics of predatory women, consider the following hypothetical scenarios. Scenario 1. The charismatic manipulator. Sarah, a 35-year-old marketing executive, mentors John, a 28-year-old new employee. She showers him with attention and gifts, building trust. Over time, she isolates him from friends, controls his decisions, and monitors his communications. When John resists, Sarah uses guilt to maintain control, leaving him emotionally dependent and isolated. Scenario 2. The financial exploiter. Lisa, a 40-year-old woman, marries Mark, a wealthy businessman, after a whirlwind romance. She siphons money from his accounts and pressures him into risky investments. When confronted, she gaslights him, accusing him of being controlling, leading to financial ruin and emotional distress. Scenario 3. The sexual predator. Emma, a 30-year-old teacher, targets Alex, a 16-year-old student, with extra attention. She crosses professional boundaries with inappropriate touching and uses her authority to coerce compliance. Alex feels trapped and unable to report due to fear of disbelief. These scenarios highlight the diverse ways predatory behavior can manifest, from emotional manipulation to sexual exploitation. Cultural perceptions and media representation. Media often portrays predators as male, with female predators rarely depicted or romanticized as cougars or misunderstood victims. This skewed representation minimizes the seriousness of female predatory behavior and can prevent victims from recognizing abuse. For example, the term cougar refers to older women pursuing younger men, often framed positively, which can obscure exploitative dynamics. The lack of accurate media portrayal contributes to societal disbelief, particularly for male victims, who may be ridiculed or dismissed when reporting abuse. This cultural bias hinders open discussions and support for victims. Legal and policy implications. Legally, addressing female predatory behavior requires gender-neutral policies. Many laws focus on male perpetrators and female victims, leaving male victims of female predators with limited recourse. For example, statutory rape laws in some jurisdictions may not adequately address female-on-male abuse. Training for law enforcement and judicial personnel should include education on recognizing female predators to ensure fair treatment of all cases. Preventive measures. Preventing predatory behavior involves education, teaching individuals about healthy relationships, consent, and boundary setting to recognize and avoid predatory tactics. Awareness campaigns, promoting public awareness of female predatory behavior to challenge stereotypes. Support systems, developing inclusive support services for all victims. Research, conducting more studies on female predators to inform prevention and intervention strategies. Cultural change, challenging gender norms that dismiss female predation or male victimization. Schools, workplaces, and communities can implement programs to educate about these issues, empowering individuals to protect themselves and others. The concept of predatory women, while less discussed than male predation, is a critical issue that requires attention. By understanding the psychological traits, sociological factors, and cultural biases surrounding this topic, society can better recognize and address female predatory behavior. This involves acknowledging the existence of female predators, providing support for all victims, and challenging stereotypes that obscure the issue. Through education, research, and inclusive policies, we can foster a safer and more equitable environment for everyone.
Did this video add anything new to your knowledge? Click the like button and tell us in the comments which part of the video and which piece of information you liked and were curious about. If you aren't subscribed to Edulosophy channel, subscribe now as we delve deeper than others dare.